Hello, good evening and welcome to the midweek fix from the LFC Daytrippers. I'm your host, Keith Plunker, and I'm joined tonight by Gav, Grizz and Peter Smith. How are you, lads? Gav, how's things?
Great, yeah, working since early. Had
A long out shift.
Yeah, I had the pre-match show, which was great. We had Barry on, we had Kev on, we Chris on, and great chat before the game. Really enjoyed it.
Excellent, and it's just something new that we're trying just to get more people involved. So if you are, watching the shows, if you want to come on, the link does be available. Just send it in, and we'll try and get as many people interacting as we can. That's what we want to be trying to do for the rest of this season. Grizz, how are you? All good, new setup and all. You're like a new man there.
Yeah, well, I didn't want you to give it away, but you've given it away now. I was gonna let the listeners know. What's the difference? There's something different about
Grizz. They'll only think you lost more weight. So it says there's no point in sending them down that rabbit hole. Just give them a
I'm worried, man. I'm losing a lot of weight. I'm worried, man.
Yeah, that's it. And it's a hard life, Grizz. It's a hard life.
Hard life, man.
And Peter, how are you, my friend?
Top of the form, still alive, still awake after watching that dross, but it can't all be champagne stuff.
Well, that's it. And we're going to come on to that. We'll start off. Now we're here to review the Liverpool getting another 3 points in the Champions League with an unconvincing 2-0 win against Midtjylland. Gav, I'll come to you first. The lineup when it came out, was, as everyone's aware now, the lineups are getting leaked well in advance these days. But were you happy to see that lineup? Did you think it was a risk? Was there anybody in the lineup that you were particularly worried about?
I go back to the show we done earlier, and I tried to discuss with the lads about the midfield too. I thought, I don't know, I wasn't comfortable with it. I know Kev O'Sullivan that was on the show earlier, I wasn't comfortable whatsoever with it. Simply because it's a midfield too, and you're asking them to do a lot of running. And as good as Milner is at being a professional, really good professional, and he'll work his socks off, you get beyond Milner and you're going to be exposed. The front four, I was surprised Origi played, I'm being honest with you. I think he's so alien to what Liverpool are trying to do. It's untrue. And you've seen Shaqiri, Jota, Minamino come on against Ajax last week for a half an hour, and they worked so hard. They were creative. They tracked back. They got us up the pitch. They were really, really good in what they done. So I was actually excited to see what they could do. But I did go into a bit nervous. I don't think this 4-2-3-1 at the moment with the personnel we have suits us. I just don't. And I think it showed during the game, Keith. You had your two centre midfielders that are meant to sit centrally and dictate play and protect, and you found Henderson out on the right a lot, you found Milner out on the left, and there's no reason for them to be there. There's enough players at the top end of the pitch in those positions to create along with your attacking fullbacks, and it just looked so out of shape from very early on, and it continued right through till the last minute, to be honest with you.
It really did. What about you, Grizz? The 4-2-3-1 is, as Gav said, were you worried about that when you seen it? Do you think it's the personnel aren't there, or we just didn't maybe play? It looks like it's either the A team up front or the B team up front. Tonight we went for the B team plus Divock. Was that the impact, and did that affect the midfield too as well for you?
It did. 4-2-3-1. I've been saying it. It's all about the personnel. You play 4-2-3-1 when you have the personnel. And Gav's touched on the two fellas in midfield, but and that was evident. Milner's so not used to playing in a two. I can't remember the last time he's played in a two where he has to serve a total different purpose as opposed to when he's playing as a. What's Gav eating? I can hear Gav licking. I can hear Gav eating.
No, I'm not making him one noise whatsoever.
You better be careful. These new microphones pick up everything.
Must be our belly.
Pick up everything, yeah?
Don't worry, Grizz. We're used to microphones, mate.
I've got the new microphone.
It's picking your body up, saying "feed me." That's what it's fucking picking up.
Be careful, Governor. Be careful. But yeah, so look, Milner hasn't played in a two for fucking years, man. He hasn't got, it's very difficult to, even though Milner's such an intelligent player, it's very difficult to switch from role to role to role to role, especially when you're playing. Look, despite Midtjylland's, name in Europe, it's still a Champions League game. So there will be some decent players out there. They were fairly tough in that first half or throughout the 90 minutes. Him and Henderson just didn't play that role as well. It seemed like Henderson was sort of sitting and covering so much space because Milner was pressing. Milner was going pressing when I think in a 4-2-3-1, the two don't do as much pressing because you've got the three in front of them to do that. But again, those three and Divock just weren't coordinated in their pressing, coordinated in their off-the-ball runs. I thought it was a hard watch. Yeah, as you said in that first half, I just thought, and whatever Gav said about Divock Origi, I'll just times it by 10. I just feel for the guy now. I just feel for the guy. I'm not gonna have it from people that say he's lazy. I think that's just him. He can't. There's only so much you can ask from someone to do above his means. He can't. That's him. That's what you get from Divock. But the good things that he's supposed to be good at, he wasn't doing well, which was being strong and holding up the ball at least. Being this monster that Klopp first, described him as. I thought his touch was awful. I thought Minamino, one of his worst performances for us. He's been a bright spark generally, but again, it was Jota. And even Shaqiri in that first half was lost. He was absolutely lost in that. We'd probably come on to the reasons why we were better in the second half. But yeah, just coming up to that first half, talking about that first half, it was a very difficult watch.
I was only asking about the lineup, Grizz. I'm not rushing to the second half just yet, So
yeah, I'm sure I mentioned the lineup somewhere.
Don't worry. Peter, the 4-2-3-1 for yourself. The lads touched on it there that the midfield, right? That the two boys in midfield are probably the not so much Henderson, but Henderson Milner midfield is probably the last choice that you'd be probably looking to do in that. We know we're missing a few players that are probably better suited to playing in the two. Is it a case of the lineup tonight? Was Klopp trying to be too clever with the lineup? Boy, against Ajax, he took the three boys off on 60 and put the three lads on. Tonight, he starts with the lads. Is he just trying to game manage as best he can?
I think we've got a tremendous amount of games coming up. People forget that. The same people that would have been complaining that, for example, Bobby Firmino's not in form, would have been complaining that he's not starting alongside Mohamed Salah and Sadio Mane. That's first of all. Second of all, listen to what you're saying about the midfield too. The reason the two lads are midfield are getting exposed and bypassed in the first half is because there's nobody stretching the game. Obviously, without the pace of Salah and Mane going both ways, you lose the ability to really occupy that four. Alexander-Arnold doesn't have anybody to link up with, neither does Robertson. So they become almost orthodox fullbacks in that system. There's nothing on the stretch. So all of a sudden, you've got their back four with a little bit of confidence coming on to us and saying, okay, we're going to play a bit of ball. And all of a sudden, the two boys are completely outnumbered in midfield. So that's that. But for me, and Grizz touched on, I really completely agree. Divock Origi would look like a smashing player playing for Wolves. For me, his agent missed a trick. He could have probably went there, competed with the big lad that they've got, and looked $1 million because of the way they play. Origi is not a bad player. It's exactly as Gav said earlier on. He's completely alien to what we do, and every time he plays, he looks worse and worse. He gets a transfer to another side that plays more like a conventional, in towards a striker's forced touch, which has him facing the goal, which is what Wolves do, for example. He'll look a top player again. But Liverpool tonight, in the first half, hadn't got the ability to stretch anyone, and I could see Midtjylland almost confident. Their movement, the movement of who I thought was their best player, that Dreyer, if he could finish, we were 1-0 down at half time. But their movement, and he was, as soon as he could see Robertson was pinned back, he was moving himself across Robertson a couple of times, and after 5 minutes, he ended up 1-on-1 with Alisson Becker. Luckily, it was Alisson Becker who pulls off a I thought a fantastic save, but it looks run of the mill because it's him. But no, we look terrible because we couldn't stretch anyone in the first half.
Sorry, Keith, can I just say on Origi, like, and I hate having a go at him, you know, for obvious reasons, but Peter's saying there, like, he'd fit in well at Wolves. I presume we're talking about a confident Divock Origi or a sharp Divock Origi, because tonight the basics were poor, you know.
But if you don't play, he doesn't play.
Yeah, the forced touch, even is what I found with him was, the forced touch was poor. I thought even protecting the ball, he was poor. You know, he was trying to double guess defenders and stuff like that, and it was just it's actually very, very hard to watch now. Like Grizz said, you nearly start feeling sorry for the fella you're going, this is
it's difficult, a player that doesn't play. I mean, Divock, it's a bit like a striker's version of, you know, when Joe Gomez was coming in, and now he doesn't look a top player when he's coming into games. He needs that run of games. A big fella like Divock Origi needs a run of games. And then, you know, he can look $1 million. I thought Shaqiri looked off the pace as well for the same reason. You know, even Minamino, who has been getting minutes, you know, he reminded me of a struggling Benayoun tonight, looking to pick between players and, you know, inside, you know, looking for spaces that weren't there, particularly in the first half. Yeah, it was a struggle to watch.
But you know, Klopp's got to take some blame for this, guys. Klopp's got to take for that performance. Sorry, you know, in that first half, the way he set them up. Because I know we're bashing the players individually; they didn't have a good game. The likes of Shaqiri and Origi. I think Shaqiri didn't have a good game because of the position and the role Klopp was asking him to play.
I thought Shaqiri was decent
in the first half.
I'll come on to that in the whole game. Yeah, we'll come on to it, but go ahead.
Okay, in the first half, I thought the game bypassed him. I wouldn't say he was poor. I thought the game bypassed him because of the position he was playing. But I think Minamino was poor, and Origi was poor because their roles weren't defined enough. And I think they're not. Yep. And I agree with you in terms of Origi is the type of striker that does need 4 or 5 games to get going. So, you know, that has to be you've got to look at Klopp for, you know, thrusting them all in there at the same time.
It was a mad shout to put the 4 of them in there. My take on it, you said Origi, and people in the comments have said, you know, Origi wasn't as bad as maybe Minamino. What I found, Minamino was trying, Minamino was running, and the thing with Divock, and I don't know if it's a lazy thing, but as you mentioned them, you don't have people saying he's lazy because his style is a style. But if you're, as Peter said, if you're not in the team and you get a chance, I think he never looks, and I'm going back to last season as well, he never looks like he wants to grab a chance with both hands. Minamino tried to be busy and it didn't work for him tonight. I felt first half, I thought Jota was anonymous as well. I didn't think Jota done anything, came to life in the second half. I thought Shaqiri he wasn't great by any means in the first half, but there was a couple of through balls he made into the box where the only bit of creative spark that we showed in that first half. Like, it was a very disjointed game. But I want to move on then to the 30-minute mark, and Fabinho picks up an injury. Huge blow. I think we'll all agree. It was an early 30 minutes into the game, and we're looking to bring on Reece Williams. Now, Gav, I'll come back to you on this one. How did you think Fabinho had been playing? Do you think it is a big loss, or did you feel that Reece Williams went in there and played a good game? Like, did he disrupt it in any way when he came in, is what I'm trying to say?
Listen, they get one ball out straight over the back of us after it's 5 minutes or something, isn't it? It's early on. Yeah. Your man, their best player, I can't remember his name.
Dreyer.
Yeah, he makes a good run off the back of Robertson, who's not watching, and good save by Alisson. But we are comfortable at the back. You know, I don't think the issue tonight was, especially in the first half. Second half, we looked a lot more shaky for me, and that's not down to Reece Williams. Don't get me wrong. We were comfortable at the back. It was going forward that was the issue. We were so disjointed. But listen, Fabinho's a big loss. You know, we've lost Van Dijk for the season. You know, that's what it is. Gomez is a man that's, I think, on the brink of being confident and not confident. He's right on that middle ground. You know, the kind of way. He's not a fully confident centre back. You've got Fabinho that we thought would be his partner for the foreseeable future. And the worry for me is that, okay, it doesn't look like he completely does his hamstring, but if it's 3 or 4 weeks, we've seen what happens with Fabinho when he comes back. It takes that again to get back into stuff. So you're looking at 2 months, all right? Now, I'm not saying he can't come back and be brilliant when he comes back, but on past evidence, you would say you're probably looking at Christmas by the time you see Fabinho playing properly for Liverpool. Avi is saying 2 weeks for Fabinho. Well, if it's 2 weeks, I'd put 6 weeks on it. Just going on past evidence of when he's coming back from injuries, right? You've Joel Matip that's played twice against Everton since we've come back to football and has disappeared ever since and frustrates the fucking life out of me.
Out for 6 months with Saturday Night Fever.
I don't know. He might have got injured telling Reece Williams he was coming on tonight. I don't know. But Reece Williams comes on very assured, good in the air, knew when to press, knew when to hang back. Good passing, good crisp passing, good interceptions, done very, very well, I have to say. But Fabinho's a loss because when you look at West Ham, who look to get in behind you, they look, that's the way they play. You look at Atalanta, who are open, free flowing, they want to attack you, and then of course you've Man City. So you're looking at 3 games now before the international break where you're looking at Joe Gomez standing there going, "Who's playing with me?" Because even if Matip was to come back against West Ham on Saturday, you don't know is he going to be there on Wednesday or the following Saturday. So it's very, very, it's very frustrating. It's a blow. Don't get me wrong, but I don't know. Like, can you ask Reece Williams to go and play those games? I wouldn't be 100% sure. We're going to have to do something. We're going to have to be a little bit creative, I think, unless John Matip rises like a Phoenix. It could be a Henderson. It could be a Wijnaldum. It could be, you don't know. But we're going to have to get a little bit creative on this one, Keith. But having said that, Reece Williams coming on, and we might discuss him a bit later on when the second half comes around. Done absolutely nothing wrong from the time for the 60 minutes he was on the pitch.
Yeah, Peter, I'll come to you next, right? So when I was saying there to Gav, did I have an impact? The thing I found with that, and I'll come to you on this, I felt that when Reece Williams came on and played where he played, that it forced Trent and Gomez to even go up another level. In the first couple of minutes when Williams came on, he'd got in Trent's way, I think, or Trent had to intervene and get a ball that was probably closer to Williams. Trent sort of took on nearly a leadership role as well, and I think it helped Trent as the game went on. So it was something that I think it not galvanised us, but it had a positive effect. And as Gav said, we will come on to the second half when he played much better, but the team seemed to pick up a bit around that time as well, because I felt it improved others. Would you agree with that, or did you think it was, or maybe reading too much into it?
No. I think you read it well. For me, it's that siege mentality. It's like, what next? Well, I might as well. Good players. That's what good players do. They take responsibility. And you're right. A couple of times, Trent did step inside, and I think it's more communication thing. You're coming into a game like that, 100 miles an hour. It's the Champions League. And you've got fellas, they were a very physical side, and I was really impressed by their movement, particularly, when they got the chance to come at us in the final third. We looked like we were getting passed by, so I think Trent and particularly Robertson on the other side had no choice but to do things that sometimes they don't have to do in the Premier League. Now, you couple that with the fact that it's not Virgil van Dijk, and it's not, Fabinho now doing the Marston role. The senior players, senior. The young fella is 22, but he's a senior player now. He's stepping in and he's moving fellas around at centre half. So I think Gav touches on a point earlier on that we have to be creative. I can't see, as good as Williams is, he's very, very young. I can't see him starting in either of the Premier League games, not at all. I can see Wijnaldum or Henderson starting at centre half.
Henderson. I thought
Mark Fleck says, "Come on, lads, don't take us for fools. Williams will be ripped to pieces by
just said
Premiership." No, that's we are. He put it in there before we start discussing them.
Must have been a timing thing, yeah.
No, probably on the back of me saying, do you put him in? I don't think you do. I think the level there tonight, although it's Champions League, suits him. I'd be worried if he was playing against Atalanta. I'd probably be worried if he had a full game. So Mark makes a very fair point.
And it comes to Grizz now, and I was just about to say the same thing. When it comes to the weekend, if Matip isn't fit, what's the solution? How do you think Klopp looks at it? Is it a Williams against West Ham? Because Antonio is out for them, which is a big loss. But who's leading the line there at West Ham?
So if it's not Antonio, it's going to be Sebastian Haller,
Haller,
who's a big physical
be.
striker. I'd much prefer Haller sort of to Antonio, mind you, but I can't see Williams. Gav gave him enough praise, and he deserved. Gav gave I think in my opinion, gave the level of praise that he deserved. I thought he was neat and tidy. He didn't put a foot wrong, but there was not much threat coming from Midtjylland. It's going to be a total different game against West Ham. West Ham are playing some good football at the moment. They gave City a good game. They've given Spurs a good game. So yeah, they've got some players in form. There's a Bowen for them who's playing really well on one of the wide men. So yeah, Williams, I can't see him starting the Premier League games. I'm not going to lie. I really think it's a job for Henderson, even if Matip's fit for the weekend, which hopefully he is. Hopefully Matip can play one of the games. He can't play both of the games. He's not going to play. So if he plays Saturday, he's not going to play the Champions League game. It's just one of those things that, as we said, he's our Ledley King now. We've got to treat him like our Ledley King. But Fabinho's injury does complicate it, does deplete us in that area, especially. But yeah, Henderson. I think Henderson is the one that sort of takes that role. You see, because we've got THIAGO coming back, we've got Gini to play in midfield. We've always also got the option of Milner if he needs to go again. So I think it's Gini and THIAGO that step into the midfield. I still think we go mad 4 up front, but it'll just be Gini and THIAGO as opposed to Hendo and Gini, and then Hendo will take place of Fabinho. That's as creative as we can get for now. I know we're looking for creative options in the squad, but I think that's as creative as we can get now, and then just hope and pray that Matip and Fabinho can sort of get fit. Especially as you say before the international break, where we get another, couple of weeks to recuperate our players.
Yeah.
Well, I'd be surprised if Matip doesn't play at the weekend. He doesn't play against Everton.
I'd just be surprised, Gav, if he plays.
Well, to be honest with you, like the talk was that after the Everton game, look, I'm as frustrated, more frustrated than anybody, I'd say, about what's going on with Matip. But what I will say is, like, he after the Everton game, he goes for a scan. He's not around. Then Klopp has asked about him, I think yesterday, and he says no, himself, THIAGO, and there was one more. Need a couple of Keita. They need a couple more days. They need a couple more days. So I'd say, like, people are talking there about Henderson being pulled early, because I'd say he could have been pulled early for, we might need you at centre half. I'm not taking any risks here because I don't know what's going on with John Matip. But all things equal, if Matip is ready to play, I think he does play, because I think missing Fabinho at centre half is one thing, missing him in midfield is another, and then missing Henderson in midfield as well. No matter how dominant you are in the game, missing those two out of any starting midfield is a big worry for me. I think Matip has to start Saturday.
I think Dan C made a point earlier on that Matip. Matip should play through the pain. I don't think he's a player that. I mean, Van Dijk has played through the pain. We know that over the last couple of years. Matip is not a player who plays through the pain, which is what frustrates me about him. For centre half, he's supposed to have a bit of bottle. I don't know his body, but yeah, somebody made that point. Dan, it was earlier on, and hopefully he does actually play through the pain, even if he's got some.
It's a key point, because it's going to be about how Klopp decides to manage it, and something you've touched on there. Does Matip play Saturday and then can't play midweek and then comes back for City? Isn't that how it goes? West Ham, Atalanta, City. So how do you manage that? Would you rather have Henderson playing centre half against Atalanta? So he is going to have the.
No, I'd like me fucking centre half to be playing in all of them.
Yeah, but we know that's, as Grizz said, it's nearly like the Ledley King, Paul McGrath type of stage now where Matt.
But what? No, it's not. He's not walking around with a fucking knee hanging off. He's walking around.
Yeah, but Gav, he can't play.
Yeah, well,
he can't
he can't play. Yeah, even Klopp's alluded to it.
On what grounds? For what fucking injury can he not play? He keeps going in for these minor scans. Minor scans on what? Your knees are
we've all
the
been
fuck.
there.
Body.
Gav, we've all been there.
Listen, don't compare fucking,
Minus stance.
don't compare Paul McGrath, Ledley King to fucking Joe Matip and the injuries he has. That's a fucking ludicrous thing to do. This is a fella that keeps going off in injuries, right? And he got stood on his toe, and he had a small strain here, and he's fucking out. He's gone for ages. You know, I slagged Lovren the season before last when he went off with Wolves with a twinge in his back, didn't turn up for fucking 4 months. Yeah. You know what I mean? What the fuck is going on? Like, this is how frustrated I am. Listen, he either has a terminal problem with his body that we need to be told about, and if he does, you get rid and you get someone else in, or he's constantly going around with minor fucking scans, and he's costing us 6 months of a fucking season.
Ground pains.
It's
ludicrous. Listen. I'm not a medical expert. So one of the few things I'm not. But listen, we can't look. Looking at his build and the size of him and sort of the type of centre back he is as well, and it's often said that he comes back and he takes a few games to warm up. There must be some medical issue there. Now, I don't agree with Gav. They don't need to tell us per se, but it's obvious there is something there because of the fact you're right. It seems as though he can't play through that pain barrier, and I think Klopp sort of kind of subtly hinted as well in certain things when he said about, when he was talking about the Virgil incident, and he was saying, look, some people can play with, Virgil had an injury going into one of the games, and he was talking about how Virgil played through the pain barrier.
He does. That's what he does, because he's a warrior.
And some players can't, he was frustrated, not as frustrated as our Gav, but you could see Klopp was frustrated in that press conference.
I agree with Gav. It's a psychological thing, I think, Matip, to be honest with you. You get two types of lads. The type of lad that you have to hold him down to stop him from doing more damage to himself. I would say Henderson is like that, to be honest with you.
He's newly married as well, so there is that,
He's what? Newly married? Yeah.
But for me, Matip is one of those. Matip is one of those, breaks a fingernail or feels a pull. I'm 100% or nothing. I would expect fellas at that level, at what's at stake, to roll up their sleeves and just do the business. And if you have to come off after half an hour or after 45 minutes, that's fine. But get yourself in now. We're throwing 17 and 18-year-olds in at the half. I don't expect a fella to,
There's talk now that Salah limped down the tunnel and will need a scan on something as well.
Well, that would be the penalty incident that he got stamped on the foot.
Yeah, it may be.
He did look in pain.
Christopher says, according to LFC TV, it was already a decision to sub Hendel at half-time, monitoring his minutes. Yeah, that's fine.
That makes sense. It makes perfect sense, I think, the way it is. They do have... I think that was a plan at the start of the season, the shortened pre-season. There was going to be a bigger emphasis on using the squad this year that maybe Klopp hasn't done before, and certainly hasn't done to this extent, so it's something to keep an eye on. Now, I want to move in, lads, to the second half, right? So we go in there at 0-0, a bit of a damn squib. They're very physical, they really are very physical. Maybe we were a bit too lax. Hendo comes off, I just touched on. Genie comes in. Did you think it made an immediate impact? Peter, I'll come to you. Do you think Genie made an impact in there, or was it just the
urgency again? No, I thought the urgency kind of, we upped it a little bit. Maybe it's one of those where if you've got a number on your back and you're watching that crap for 45 minutes, you're saying to yourself, right, I'm going in here and I'm gonna. I thought, Genie always brings a little bit of urgency. I mean, never ever doubt Henderson, but Henderson takes responsibility for the whole team. I mean, he sits in front of that four and takes responsibility for things. He makes one mistake and you're 1-0 down. So never ever, this is not being disparaging about Henderson. He's an absolute warrior. But for me, Wijnaldum is one of those players where he says, right, enough. And we've seen him do it from the bench numerous times. He's just pure energy. And I thought he kind of brought us up. And other players, of course, reacted that around him, and he's the one. It was his pass that kind of led to the move that brought the goal for me. So, yeah, he makes a difference energy-wise.
Ramez Khalil has a comment in there. We should have just sold Matip this summer and got at least one centre back in his stead. Not getting a centre back after letting Lovren leave has unfortunately come to bite us. I want to touch on this for a second, and I'll go to Grizz on this because we did talk a lot over the summer about transfers, and PSG were apparently linked with Matip for a big money money deal. Do you think the idea of letting the two of them go in the summer was a bad idea? Because I know a lot of people thought, oh no, let one or the other, but not both of them. Do you think we should have sold up in the summer? I know hindsight's a great thing. Do you think we should have really just bit the bullet and rebuilt the defence?
Hindsight is a wonderful thing, isn't it? As you know, internally, I wasn't against selling him. Just for the fact that he's not available enough, simply because of that. Not anything to do with his ability or, how he fits into our team or anything like that. But, I wouldn't have been against doing it. I mean, look, we're massive fans of the recruitment team and how we go about finding players and also we're big fans of how we look after our players and stick with our players. But look, can we criticize them for sometimes holding on too long? Like the likes of Lallana and Lovren and Sturridge. There's 3 players there that, in my opinion, we held on for a season too much in each of their careers. Now, maybe it's come to a point where we've got decisions to make with, and I'm going to name some controversy. I'm going to put some names in there that's going to cause some controversy. Matip that we're talking about, Ox that we're talking about, and Naby Keita that we're talking about. These kind of players, these kind of squad players are needed at times like this, and they're fucking not. They're literally not available. Every time there's an emergency where we're looking to Matip to come in, to Naby to come in, this is Ox's chance, this is Naby's chance, this is Matip's chance. They're not there. They're not available. And that's frustrating, and that's whatever it is, but we've got to come to a stage where we need squad players that are durable as well as talented. And maybe learn from our past mistakes with the likes of Lallana, Lovren and Sturridge, where, as I said, I feel we kept on hold of them for too long for no reason. They were good players in their very own rights and clubs would have paid decent money for them, but we kept clinging on. I don't want to do it again, Keith. I would not like to be in that same situation. That's why I said if we get an offer for Ox, I would have sold him. Naby, last season chance. I mean, it is what it is. Naby fanboys can get on my case. I don't give a shit. You know me, I couldn't give 2 fucks.
Yeah.
But talented baller, but be available. If it's unlucky, go be unlucky at another club. We're too good now to be holding on to unlucky players with injuries. That's just my rant. Over.
That's allowed. Do either of you boys want to comment on selling Matip, or will we move on?
No, I completely agree with Grizz, and I would add to it as well. It's a little bit like we always have a go, Grizz, don't we? At Pogba, Manchester United, and Pogba. This is his year. The Kate situation is evolving into that. For me, it's bordering on ridiculous. Sometimes it just doesn't work out. You have to cut your losses. I don't care how much you pay.
That's it.
Yeah.
It's not a slight on all of those players. Bloody hell, Matip's an amazing player in his own right. Naby Keita, Ox. But if they're not going to be available for Liverpool Football Club, their talent is no use to us or to me.
Exactly. Yeah. Totally agree with you, mate.
Very true. So we'll move on from that. Thanks for the comment there, Ramez. So we're into the second half. Gav, I'll come to you. We're into the second half and things start to pick up a bit. And I know Shaqiri came in for a bit of stick from certain quarters, but the goal comes from a bit of creativity, the creative spark that maybe we hadn't seen in the first half, and it's things like that from Shaqiri that maybe keeps him a valuable squad option. But he done well with the link up with Trent. And it opened them up for the first time we opened them up. Did you see it coming, or did you feel it was a head banging against the wall job the more it was going on? Or did you sense it was on its way?
I don't know. You could say it was sense it was coming because the way, again, we were quite comfortable at the back, but we weren't doing much up front. And again, it's all down to the front four. There was no movement. I'd have been quite happy there tonight if Origi came out and just said, listen, every ball that comes into me, I'm just going to pop it straight off, one touch to Trent or anyone, just going to pop her off. I'm not interested in fucking scoring goals. I'm just going to pop her off here and there, and we'd have opened them up, you know. But it was static from Origi. Minamino's getting a lot of stick. I thought Minamino was probably the brightest of the front four in the first half because of the runs he was making in the box. One from Trent that was very good. He gets ahead on it, but he was trying. Jota wasn't good first half. But having said that, what's he fucking playing with? You know what I mean? Yeah. Like the man inside him is Origi, and Origi for me is just statuesque. Start of the second half, Genie comes on. There wasn't. I thought, like Pete says there was an urgency. It wasn't even that. It was his position. He was in the middle of the fucking pitch, playing in the middle of the pitch. He wasn't going out right like Henderson was to try influence. He wasn't turning up in the left wing like Milner was. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not blaming Henderson or Milner for doing that. They probably felt he needed to do that because the lack of movement up front, they were trying to push it. And you could hear Henderson all first half, you know. And all he kept saying to him was quicker. That's all you could hear out of him. And he wanted it quicker because he knew if they were quick, they would get around him. But he just couldn't get that message through. On the goal itself, listen, it's a really good goal. But it comes from, if you look at it, it's a ball into Shaqiri. He plays a reverse pass to Alexander-Arnold, who squares it to Jota and puts it in. It's a training ground goal. Yeah. You know, and that's how easy it was to get through them if you put the effort in and the structure around the team.
But we said it, Gav, by text, we said it. The first time they kind of moved the ball at pace in the final tour.
Yeah, and it absolutely was. But this what I'm saying, you're right, Shaqiri did seem to drop in and nearly make it midfield 3, and we got more control in there, and players looked more at ease for me, Keith, in that. Yeah. You know, they knew there was a fella deep, they knew there was two fellas in midfield looking after each side, and then they could have, you know, at that stage it was still Jota, Origi, Minamino, but at least it was a much easier shape on the eye, I think, for fans and players, you know. So but it's a good goal. Jota gets another one. He's flying, and he did improve in this. He went on a great run in the second half. He down the left, and I genuinely thought he was going to get a touch inside this fella and score, but he got a good tackle on him. But no, it was a good goal, and it was something that Trent deserved tonight because I thought he was our best player by an absolute mile.
Yeah, it's a good point. I'll come to Grizz. I was just going to say that Trent, as I mentioned earlier, I felt he focused more when Williams came on, that it sort of made him take on a bit of a leadership role. But he didn't let his game drop. I think it made him more solid defensively, surprisingly. But it's a great run by Trent, isn't it? It's that clever, you know, a fullback, and every club thinks that fullback wants Trent to come out for a straightener. Well, every bleeding time one of them does anything, it's come outside and see me and all this nonsense. But it's that clever play by Trent, isn't it, when he goes up there and the pullback, you know, he's not smashing it across. He's passing it. Everything is a pass. It's an intelligent pass by Trent. He's a sensational player when he gets into them positions, isn't he?
Yeah. Well, we week 5, 6 into the season, and we've been slightly harsh on Trent, or critical. But you got to remember, him, and just like many others, didn't have much of a pre-season. I thought Trent was imperious best today. And I do pick up on that point that you make in terms of Williams comes on and Trent grows. He absolutely grows. You can see him take more responsibility, become more active, become more focused. Robbo on the other side is a magnificent fullback as well. Let's not get it twisted, and let's not forget. But the difference in quality in the final third, you see that. And that's what Trent gives you. So he may not be as brilliant defensively as Robbo, and we sometimes tell him to be focused and more switched on. But listen, Trent Alexander-Arnold plays right back in the role he plays because of that performance in that second half. Some of his passing, some of his first-time switch of play, no other fullback would think about it, never mind try to attempt it. Did you see
Grizz in the first half? Sorry, the only bit of quality. You know, he caught a ball on the volley from a throw-in and found Robinson's chest.
I mean that was That was Roberto Carlos.
I just
levels.
laughed at that. I just
about-
literally laughed. I just chuckled to myself when he done it.
So, you know, Trent, and this is where we see the quality that everyone talks about, because he was a central midfielder, because he was a midfielder, and he's got the touch and he's got the awareness. Under the 18 level, he was an attacking midfielder. He used to, you know, go on driving runs and take shots, etc. You can see that. I thought he was class. I thought he was imperious. But again, I just thought everyone was. I thought the biggest turning point, I know you didn't ask me about it, but yes, Gini was very good, I thought. But I thought the positional change of Shaqiri was key. Shaqiri is no use to us off the ball. Shaqiri is only useful to us when he's on the ball. And so therefore, for him to be on the ball, he had to resort to an attacking midfield role. He played it as an 8, basically, collecting the ball many times of Joe Gomez and Reece Williams, turning, picking off passes. I thought the positional change of Shaqiri was key, along with the whole focus of the team. They thought, you know, again, what Keith touched on about seed mentality. Everything's going wrong. Players getting injured, senior players getting injured. Let's just stick together and see this out. And I thought that's what they done in that second half.
Yeah, they did. As Dennis is saying there, Trent was getting the time on the ball tonight. Maybe something in that, in the sense that their threat was coming on the other side, wasn't it, from Dreyer, rather than the left winger maybe wasn't as, you know, they didn't seem to target that side, which other teams have done. But I felt Trent, like I said, I felt he took on the responsibility, and he was much better tonight. He's a sensational player. But saying about Shaqiri drifting into space and all, I felt that was a key point. Someone mentioned in the chat earlier, he's an impact player maybe to bring on with 20 minutes to go, and it's something that we haven't done enough for him. But Gav, I'll ask you, does Shaqiri have a future at Liverpool? Do you think he's coming in from the cold somewhat in the last few weeks? Do you think he's maybe got a role to play for us this year?
I just find it very hard to get him in the team. I'm being honest with you. Like, he drops in there tonight, and it's part of it in midfield. He does more or less drop in and make it a midfield 3, and that's fine. He does okay. Grizz is spot on. He's no good to us off the ball, because he looks like he's running, but he's not getting anywhere. You know what I mean? It's one of those. It's
you know about that, Gav?
Yeah. I've watched. Yeah, because I watch videos of you. But
the old Leighton Orient.
Yeah, I've watched the old Leighton Orient trials. But down at Brisbane Road. But you see him running back. He's trying his best to chase back, but he's just not getting there. He'd be overrun in midfield against decent sides, in my opinion. I just find it hard. Where do you put him? You know, I don't think you put him in a front 3. In the 4-2-3-1, it just doesn't work for us with the personnel we have. I know what Klopp is trying to do. He's trying to commit more men forward. He's trying to interchange a bit more. And I think he's doing it for Bobby Firmino's benefit. I'm going to be honest. Now, that may sound like a stupid point, because Bobby Firmino didn't start the game tonight. But I think they're trying to freshen things up, because I think Firmino's gone a little bit stale in that, you know.
Of course.
But does he have a future? Yes, till the end of the season anyway. I don't think he'll be sold in January. It's just, where do you get him in? Where do you put him in? You know, do you put him centrally? Do you just go, if you're going to go 4-2-3, when you're going to bite the bullet and just put him straight in behind Firmino and go, listen, Minamino, you're not playing, Jota, you're not playing, I'm putting him in there, because I feel that's probably his best position. Centrally, off a striker, where you can, it nearly looks like a 4-4-2 with Mane and Salah on the wing, on either side, and you give that Shaqiri, because he's played a lot there with a lot of different strikers.
Yeah.
It's just fitting him in, Keith. But having said that, I would have him all day, every day, and twice on Sunday ahead of Origi, because at least Shaqiri, to me, has the football intelligence. I think he knows what way we want to play. I think he's trying. Defensively, I think he's trying. I don't think it's in him though. But you know, if a ball drops to a player 25-30 yards from goal, and you're asking me to choose Origi or Shaqiri, you know who you're choosing, because both of them probably score from 25-30 yards, but one of them can't play a killer pass and one can, and we're more killer pass than 25-30 yard screamers, in my opinion.
Very true, very true. A lot of people in the comments are mentioning Bobby Firmino. Now, Bobby comes on, Mo comes on, Sadio comes on. as we expected, right? So the lads all get in there, and there's a couple of chances. Mo gets on early, and there's a break in, and he cuts inside, and he blames one over the bar. Bobby gets in, and there's a chance where one gets pulled back to him. People are saying it was a sit or it was an opener. It wasn't really, like, but he just blazed the high wide and not very handsome. Is there a lack of a clinical edge to our play at the moment? And Grizz, will come to you. Are we lacking the clinicalness that, and not just from Bobby, you know, Mo misses a lot of chances. If we were taking maybe, you know, one or two of these chances, it's giving us more of an edge. Are we looking, what I'm trying to say is, are we looking like we're scraping through these matches, but if we take more of our chances, we're a lot more comfortable and there's not much of an issue?
It's obvious we are. But I'm still going to put that down to early season rustiness, hardly any preseason, the usual excuses, but it's facts this time. You know, it is the way it is at the moment for every team. Let's look around Europe. We haven't even looked at the other results. Some mad results everywhere. Who's standing out? I think we can beat Bayern. Bayern, the best team in Europe. Yeah. I think we can take on Bayern, no sweat. I'm serious. So yes, we're not playing as what's the word? Because we are becoming efficient. Yeah. Our last 3 games, we have done the job. We've got the job done. Our last 3 games, we haven't looked in trouble too much. But you're right. We haven't finished off chances. We haven't turned half chances into great chances. I thought the 3 of them were poor when they came on. I'm going to be honest. They may be our 3 stars and we adore them and we love them to bits because, you know, they are amazing. But I think Jota's carrying them at the moment. You know, they need to up it a bit. I've got no doubts they will. I thought Mo was obviously brilliant the other day without scoring. But again, without scoring, you'd think Bobby, high in confidence, puts a goal away. That's an easy chance for a top-level striker. You know, to name some of the top strikers, you know, Lewandowski finishes that. Goran Pandev finishes that. Do you know what I mean? They all finish that. Bobby's got to finish those. There's no sugarcoating it. I'm not gonna sit here and defend Bobby. I'm a big Bobby fan, but Bobby's not a great finisher. He's a poor finisher. He's elite in a lot of things, but not in finishing. And at the level we're playing at, that could have been very, very important, very vital miss. It turns out that it isn't. But look, on the whole, they are sort of in 3rd gear. There's a couple more gears for them to get into, and I think they will. They're going to have to raise it like the defense has raised it. They're going to have to raise it like the midfield raised it the other day. We're just waiting for them to raise it now, and we'll be really ready, set to go, I think.
Yeah, it's true. It's been a disjointed summer. We all know that. It's not the season we're expecting, the usual season. Players are maybe going through the motions a little bit, in fairness, but we got the job done. And a lot of people, you know, are saying in there, we got the job done. We got over the line, and that's a true point, Gav. We're grinding out these wins lately, and we've got 2 wins in the Champions League now, 6 points from 6. Is that all that matters at the moment? Like, if as Liverpool, is Klopp looking at this and saying, right, by whatever means necessary, we get through this and we see where we are, whether they're looking to bring a new body in January or whatever, just get these games out of the way and give ourselves as much of a cushion. Like, without playing well, we've got 6 points on the board in the Champions League. We can't ask for more than that, can we?
No. I think Klopp's firefighting a little bit. I'm being honest with you. You know, I said it the other day on the show that, you know, the Van Dijk thing would have hit Klopp and everyone at the club hard, and we were looking for a siege mentality and angry kind of Liverpool to come out. But I think what we've seen is it's a more conservative look, maybe a little bit hesitant, maybe, but it's do what needs to be done, you know. And sometimes you do get it done and you don't do any more than that, and it can look bad. You know, I'm not saying tonight was a good performance. It wasn't. It simply wasn't. It was disjointed.
Yeah.
It was nervy at times. You know, players out of position, not really up to speed, whatever way you want to put it. But you're right. You know, Van Dijk's gone out injured, and that'll always be a marker point in the season. You know, Everton away will always be a marker point in the season. How have we done since then? How have we adapted? How many goals have we conceded? You know, stuff like that. And the way it is, like, you know, we've gone and won at Ajax. We've beaten Sheffield United. We've beaten Midtjylland tonight. We go away. We play West Ham and then Atlanta, Man City. So if I'm Klopp, I'm looking at it going, listen, I need to get fucking Naby Keita back. I need to get Mata back. I need THIAGO to come on now and not be fucking sawn in half by some fucking Egypt, like he was a couple of weeks ago. And he's probably looking, going, we just need to do what we have to do, and we get through this. He's probably looking at it. You know, when you say you get a dip in the season, right? Mm-hmm. He's probably playing with the mentality of we've been through a dip and we're just trying to muddle our way through. That's the sort of mentality he has. Now, we haven't been through a dip, but he's probably using that as a sort of focus, you know. Listen, if we come out of the next 3 games with 2 league wins and even a draw away at Atlanta, and we're 7 points from 3 in the Champions League, everything's fucking rosy, you know. But it's all, at the moment, it's about going out, getting the job done. It might not be pretty, but I don't think you can. From here on in, you can't go to that level of performance you're seeing tonight.
Gav, right now, I'd absolutely snap your hands off 2 wins and a draw, but not in the order that you want it. I'd take the West Ham and I'd take a draw at, I'd take a win at Atlanta and draw at City all day long.
I go the other way.
Absolutely all day long. In fact, I think the City, I think the Atalanta, and I know we haven't used it this season, but the Atalanta game at this stage, with the predicament that we're in terms of injuries and everything, and the way the group's panning out with 6 points already, I'd say the Atalanta game is a free hit. All eyes, all focus on the 2 league games for me personally, with the situation that we're
maybe
in.
So, yeah, maybe so. I would. Oh no, I'm not taking a draw at City for a win at Atlanta. I'm taking a win at City, because if you win your next 2 league games and City don't, because you're beating them in 1, you're looking anywhere between 5 and 8 points clear of City after 7 or 8 league games, and I'm all over that.
Yeah, that's true. Very true. Peter, what about yourself? Do you feel that we just need to manage our way through, and are you as confident as the lads that the next 3 games that we can get positive results from all of them?
Yeah, I think, to be honest, THIAGO coming back will be a big. It'd be a big boon. You know, we're really focused on the problems that we have in defence. The great thing about Liverpool, our success, okay, it is built on a solid success, but we're not dependent as a team on the defence. You know, it's about what we do going forward. So I'd like to see THIAGO in there picking holes in these teams that set up, because everybody sets up this City against us. I imagine that might take a different view against us as well. But certainly, for example, if THIAGO is back against West Ham, that's going to be a big deal, because that midfield, if Antonio's movement is not there to move us around, they're going to have Haller up front, and they're just going to try and play off set pieces, and they're going to sit off. We're going to be 2 banks of 4, the usual shite. So for me, get Liverpool on the front foot, doing what we're good at again. We'll always miss Van Dijk's delivery, from deep positions, but I think THIAGO's cunning and his ability to pick out a pass from a deep position probably gives us a favour as well.
Keith, I think you make a brilliant point there in terms of how we defend.
That was Peter.
I beg your pardon, Peter.
Thanks, Grizz.
I'm so used to, man. I'm so used to the Oracle making brilliant points. Our football man, Keith. But Peter, I beg your pardon, Peter. You make a brilliant point about the way we defend, or how we could defend with THIAGO in the team. Now, we've all seen Man City have an awful defense for how long now? A couple of years now. And for since Company, I guess, even with Company, when he missed games, we always wondered how Man City would defend, and how they would defend would be to keep the ball away from the opposition for 80% of the game. Our defense is good enough to withstand 20% attacks in a game. Yeah, we're that good on the ball. With Thiago, we change the way we play. We have to. We're talking about being creative in terms of solving the centre back issue. I think we go creative in the terms of the way we play overall, and that will help the defensive strategy. That's just my
Grizz,
opinion.
I think Thiago was signed to take the pressure off Bobby Firmino, because Bobby Firmino's movement to a certain extent in front of a busy midfield three of hardened midfielders like Henderson and Wijnaldum is what has been providing the subtlety. I think if Thiago plays in the same 11 as Bobby Firmino, you see more of Bobby as a as a straightforward attacking threat.
He comes alive.
Exactly. For me, it just gives us that extra dimension, and it's instead of Liverpool having to have so much possession and having to have wave after wave, it becomes okay. This fella's picking holes in these lads. But Thiago doesn't get assists, a high amount of assists. It's those key passes that lead to assists that really bring people like Bobby, that will even add to Trent's game, that will probably add to Robertson's game, just makes it more subtle. And it means, so you notice Robertson, for example, tonight, high up the pitch in the first half, he had a couple of situations in their box where he could have got the ball across, but he's just receiving the ball in slightly poor positions. You've got a player like Thiago giving you the ball on the money all the time. You've got that little bit extra time and space to make that assist that you need to make if you're Bobby, if you're Trent, and if you're Robbo. I just see it that way, that this is going to change slightly. When this fella gets a run, it's going to change the way we play, and we're going to get an awful lot more joy from the possession that we have.
Yeah. Very true.
Stephen Mack says there Bobby's been playing top level football for 3 years without a break. I think that's a very fair point.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Listen, when I look at what we have attacking wise, and you have got your Salah, you have Mane, you have Firmino, you have Jota there now, you have Shaqiri if you want to call upon him, Minamino, Origi's there, but I still think at some stage Klopp will look to buy a goal scorer. And what I mean by that is, it doesn't have, people go on about, you can't replace Firmino, the type of player he is and all. I agree. He's a very unique player in what he does, for me, in any way. But I do think he would look to go for a goal getter, just an out-and-out goal getter, and just say, listen, if we're going to be that, well, if not even that, like even, and I hate to say it, but the likes of Danny Ings, and I know I heard some people say Danny Ings because boy didn't he have a buyback option and all that sort of stuff. But when you look at Danny Ings, going back to when Coutinho left Liverpool, and people are saying, well, Danny Ings is there and stuff like that. Danny Ings got 1 goal that season. He didn't suit where we were playing. Does he suit us now? I'm not too sure, but we could do something, and I'm not saying go and sign Danny Ings. I'm saying something. It's a player that's a bit quick off the market. Yeah, a bit of a.
I'm not sure.
A bit of a poacher, and the reason I'm saying that is because of the likes of Thiago. So instead of like Pete said, you're not looking to feed balls into when you're looking to feed balls into Firmino, you're looking for a good force touch, and he's setting Mane away, or he's setting the fullback away, who then in turn is setting up Salah, Mane, whoever it might be. Whereas if you have a Thiago that's a bit more creative, you're probably looking for, instead of that ball going into Firmino and onto Salah or Mane, it's just going straight to Mane and Salah, and they're cutting people open, and you have a fella in the box. Like, if you could take Ian Wright and take 20 years off him and put him in the middle of the box for Liverpool in that circumstance, you're absolutely on the money. The kind of way. But you have to be fair on Firmino. We have massive arguments in our WhatsApp group over Harry Kane in particular, and Bobby Firmino. But for me, I think somewhere down the line, Klopp does look to go for some sort of goal poacher. But you have to be fair on Firmino and say he goes off to Brazil, he goes to South America, he comes back on a Thursday, he plays on a Saturday. It's hard. It is hard, and he might need a break. But when you want to give this fella a break and you see what comes in, 1 week they're great and 1 week they're not. You kind of struggle. The only one that's standing out at the moment.
I just think Jota is perfect. Yeah, Jota is perfect to deputise. The problem with finding a goal scorer, Gav, it's not what you gain, it's what you lose. Goal scorers, an out-and-out goal scorer in this day and in modern football, as you know, better than anyone, is almost a luxury. I think if Klopp wanted a goal scorer, he would have signed Aubameyang, because Aubameyang,
if he wanted a goal scorer, he would have kept Brewster. He would have kept Brewster, Pete.
Yeah, but even before that, I think he would have signed Aubameyang. For me, nobody has a better relationship with that centre forward. I mean, Klopp practically made Aubameyang. So for me, I think Klopp would worry you're probably right. It'd be nice to have an out-and-out goal scorer, but it's what you lose, energy-wise to the rest of the team. It's I think Salah and Mane would see themselves as the principal source of our goals, and you upset that balance a little bit, and it kind of upsets the way we play. Then all of a sudden, maybe an out-and-out goal scorer is expecting those lads to push a little bit wider, higher up the pitch, and to feed him in an orthodox way. I just think we lose a lot of what we do in the final third, to be honest with you, because then you're shutting off channels to those two fullbacks that come off. Sometimes it can be as basic as that. But I get your point. I just think because Bobby doesn't play like a normal forward and vacates those areas, it just allows, Salah and Mane to do that job,
It does. And look, I want to finish up on the game, lads. We get a second goal late on. It's a penalty. It's an outrageous ball with Trent to put in Mo Salah. He gets trod on his foot. And as reports have started coming out, looks like he has to go for a scan on that. He did look in pain. Gav, did you think Mo had a good impact when he came on? And was the penalty, just at this stage, are you worried when Mo takes a penalty, or are you as confident? Because I'm never confident looking at him taking that run. That bastard never misses.
It's the run up, isn't it? But the only thing I would say about him is when he runs up, it's the same run up all the time. Yeah. He's not alternate if he's going left or he's going right. It's the same run up, and then he decides where he's putting it. And we've seen him put it top left, we've seen him put it bottom left, bottom right, top right, down the middle. We've seen him put him in all sorts of spots. So I think that I disregard the run up. I think the one thing about Mo Salah is that he picks where he's putting it. He decides how hard or how easy he's going to hit it, and he does that. And if the keeper saves it, fair enough, but most of the time they don't. Because as much as keepers study where players are going to go, if you have an exact same run up and then you're changing the arch of your foot right on impact, it's very hard for keepers to know where you're going, because the way usually the little caption comes up on the screen where he's hit penalties, has he scored, has he not? I'd say they're littered all over the goal for Mo Salah. Just thinking back to the penalties he's taken, some have been hard down the middle, to the left, to the right. He played a lovely one. Was it Arsenal last season, and he just passed it with pace into the stanchion, So
that was the best one. That was his best one.
Yeah, it was a great one. And but the thing is,
it was his worst.
It was his worst penalty, but that Egypt in goal didn't save it. But the thing about it is, listen, if you're telling me now he has to go for a scan as an issue with Mo Salah, I'll just take the 1-0, and you don't have to take the penalty, But the impact, I don't think him or Salah had a major impact when they come on. I don't think Firmino had a major impact when he came on. We just had a better shape, I suppose. We looked a bit shaky. That guy has that chance on 89, 90 minutes where he sends Joe Gomez he sends him to shop. And McManaman on BT was giving him a hard time over his finish. I thought that the attempted finish was absolutely perfect, what he was trying to do. He just got it slightly wrong. He was saying he should have went with his other foot. I don't agree. He done everything he could do with his left foot that he could have done with his right foot. He's just slightly off target, and we get away with one there. But no, they didn't have a major impact. It was a cold night. It didn't look like they really wanted to come on. And I suppose all things being equal, and if we'd have applied ourselves properly in the system and the way we wanted to play, they wouldn't have had to come on. So but look, it's a win. Hopefully Salah just got stood on. He's coming off, he's literally, he takes the penalty, so he's fine. You know what I mean? He's probably just, the adrenaline wears off a bit. That's a bit sore, but Salah's a bit of a, like Pete said earlier about Van Dijk, Salah's a bit of a warrior. And if he has any chance of playing, he'll play for me, because he's a hungry little fucker when it comes to goals, and he won't want to miss any games, And he's a good record against West Ham, if I remember.
He was on his feet, dying to come on. He's one of them. He wants to play, he wants to score.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. It's a great habit to have. Listen, before we finish up, I just want to throw out there's 517 watching on 169 likes. If you like what we're doing, just hit that like button. It helps the show, it helps us grow, it helps everything, and it doesn't cost that. So if you like what we do, just hit the like button, and as I said, it really helps us out. Lads, I'll come to Grizz. Reece Williams, before we pick him on of the match, how do you think he grew into the game? Were you impressed? Was it one that, I know we've touched on him earlier, but his overall performance, were you happy with it?
Yeah, neat, tidy. Looks like a good reader of the game. obviously will grow. He needs to put on some muscle, but then look at Matip. It didn't do him bad throughout his career, not putting on muscle. So yeah, but he looks like a very athletic type of defender. I do think he likes to go to ground a bit too quick, but that's just being me, nitpicking on the kid. Overall, I think he's got the confidence. He's got great height, physical attributes today. Looks like a good passer. Yeah, neat and tidy, done all the things. He's looking to keep the ball in play as well. So when a defender is looking to clear the ball, some defenders you can tell from a very young age what kind of centre back they are, and but this kid looks to sort of set play with his clearances, if you know what I mean. A la Virgil, you can see he's modelled his game on Virgil, but early days.
And Pete, what about yourself? Were you impressed with his performance?
Yeah, I was impressed with a young kid like that comes in at the stage. He hasn't let us down. As Grizz said, I completely agree with him. He read it well, and he looks to do something constructive. He's not looking to throw his foot through it. I think diving in is normal. For that mindset, you want to make a difference. You want to be that hero in that moment. But he'll learn the value of standing up, to be honest, as he gets older. Virgil van Dijk never goes to ground. Never, but he's a long way to go before he's in that class. But signs on that he can do well.
Yeah. And Gav, do you agree with Grizz's comparison to that he's just like Matip, like comparing him to Bladen Worsley Gummidge is the best comparison that we want?
No. He has more traits about him of Van Dijk than he does of Matip. Genuinely. The way he passes the ball, he looks very like Van Dijk. He's very good reader of the game, and Grizz is not shaking his head. Watch the way he passes the ball.
He doesn't play long balls like Virgil.
No, but listen, he's a young. Yeah, but listen, come here and tell you, Virgil van Dijk wasn't probably playing balls at that age as well. What I'm saying is he has traits like him, and what I mean by that is that Peter says there, Virgil van Dijk very rarely goes to ground. That comes with experience. Virgil van Dijk was probably diving into challenges 8-10 years ago when he was this lad's age. What I would say about him is, and I noticed tonight, was very good in the air, strong in the air, committed. When he's going for it, he's going for it. The kind of way. Knew when to go with a striker and push him hard, knew when to step off, always aware of what was around him, held the line very well, covered well as well. And I think it's a testament to him that Midtjylland tonight identified Gomez and probably Robertson as the weaker area, simply because one, they didn't want to go down near Trent, because if Trent gets hold of it and breaks on you, you're in trouble, especially when SALAH comes on. And two, Gomez is lacking in confidence. There was one down the side there earlier. Gomez has your man, no problem. And instead of just letting it run past and play it back to Alisson, he tries to clip her on the volley to Robertson, and it hits the opposition player, and the opposition player gets possession. That's a lack of confidence, or trying to be overconfident or trying to mask something. But no, listen, Reece Williams is very, very young. He came on against Ajax last week and done all right. He plays 60 minutes tonight, and I didn't at any stage think, oh, fucking hell, no, like this young fella's out of his depth. Not for 1 second. Not for 1 second.
Yeah, it was a great performance by him. And Grizz, do you have anything else to add on it before we finish up on him? No, you're happy.
Yeah. Because then Gav's gonna want to rebut to that. Me and Gav going all night.
We do it afterwards.
Yeah. Good point.
We should charge people $14.95 to watch us from 11:30 to 12:30.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It gets X-rated. It gets X-rated, man.
I reckon Sky could pick it up to you.
Yeah. Well, they're charging you for everything else, so why not?
Well, listen. I think $14.95 is worth more than fucking West Brom against Brighton or whatever it is.
We start taking
no disrespect to them. No disrespect to West Brom and Brighton. Full disrespect to Sky. Lads, I'm going to come to you after a man of the match. Peter, who did you think was the best player tonight?
Trent by about 7 miles. Just the spot. It always stands out for me when a player, even when things are going bad, consistently tries to do the right things. His passing remains immaculate. When it's time to buckle in and you can't do the nice things you'd like to do when you're under a little bit of pressure, he tucks in, does his job. I think he's improving defensively. His communication's getting better. He's not getting caught in behind it like he used to all the time. I just don't think there's any candidates really. Bar Jota in the second half, I just think Trent for me is more ahead of us.
Yep. And Grizz, what about yourself?
Yeah, it's got to be Trent. I thought he was immaculate. Finally, we woke up and we've got the Trent that we love and adore. The Scouser in our team.
Very true, very true. And Gav, I'm sure this is a full house, is it?
It is a full house, yeah. He looked the most dangerous attacker in the first half as a right back. He was very, very solid defensively. Even from balls coming from the left, he was covering very well. One in particular at the back post where he hooks it away, and it was a good ball in. But going forward, he has that ball for Salah. He's involved in the goal with Shaqiri, and the pass he hits in the first half, I might have been just seeing it on Twitter, and it's fucking outrageous. I genuinely just laughed. When you sit back on the sofa and just laugh, and it just popped up to him. It's 3.5 feet. It's 3.5 feet in the air, and he just hits this 50, 60-yard pass across the pitch onto Robertson's foot. As if,
do you know what it is, lads?
Because I can.
It was it's madness what he does.
No, it's one of those passes that it makes you want to go out and, like, if we all lived close to each other, and just knock for each other, let's just go and try that in the park. Let's just have a kickabout in the park. It just makes you feel, good about football and life, and you want to try to do that. Well, I could, but I worry about you guys.
Yeah,
that's true. Very, very fair point.
Yeah.
At 0-0, when in a game that you're struggling in as a team, and it doesn't look like you're gonna score in the next half an hour, he's just doing things like that. That's for me just difficult.
It's what it is when it's off the cuff. I think Trent's at his best. If you put Trent in a position down the right hand side and just hit 20 balls at him, and just if a match was one of those where it just kept being fed to him, and he was looking to put balls in the box, he might get 4 or 5 out of that 20. But if you said to him, at some stage the ball's going to come to you on the right hand side and it needs to happen, I think it would happen. I think when it's off the cuff and it just has to happen, I think that's where Trent's at his absolute best. I think he was very, very good.
Yeah, he really was. He was sensational tonight. I'd back that up as well. I'd put him as the man of the match as well, definitely. So we'll finish up there. And anyway, lads, I want to thank you all for joining me tonight. Does anyone else have anything you want to talk about now?
Maverick congratulates us on 6,000 plus subs. He remembers when it was just him on YouTube and a handful from Periscope. I remember that as well, Maverick. And Maverick and loads more have stuck with us since early on. Our next target isn't 7,000; it's 10,000. So what we're going to do is, if you're watching and you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button. If you're already subscribed, tell your mates. There's no way you don't have mates that don't watch YouTube or aren't into Liverpool. Everyone has mates. Don't believe what some people tell you. Get them on, get them to watch. Listen, tell you what, we make a deal, right? Subscribe for a week, right? And watch a full week of content of this. And if you don't like it, unsubscribe. Very simple. But I can guarantee you, if you subscribe to this and you watch it for a week, it's not going to cost you anything. You're going to get notifications when we go live. There's a great variety of people on it. Comments, topics, arguments, football talk, everything on it. There's the people that are on it, they've great personalities. They're a bit mental, to be perfectly honest with you, but you'll enjoy it. And even if you went and spoke to the 6,000 subscribers that we have, they'll tell you, yeah, it's good. They know what they're talking about to a certain point, because we're not professionals, but they're passionate about it. Subscribe. You won't unsubscribe. That's my opinion. I think if you subscribe to this, I don't think you would unsubscribe. We're fairly confident of that. Not blowing our own trumpet, but I think we're putting in enough work across the board and enough commitment to this that if you do subscribe, I think you'd feel that you wouldn't unsubscribe. That's just my opinion.
Here, couldn't agree more. And also, it's a great chat room as well that does be going on for all the shows. Gav has said this numerous times. It drives a lot of the show, a lot of the content on the shows. We look at the comments and we try and drive the narrative through them as much as possible. Gav more so than me now, must be said. I'm brutal at it, but we do look at it and we do take it all in. So it really is, subscribe, give it a go. You won't regret it. We just like I said, we just try our best. We get as many people on. We try to get as many views as we can, and that's what we do. And if you like it, spread the word and get more of them up. Get us to 10,000.
Eganito says you're back tomorrow night. Well, what day is today?
Today's Tuesday.
So Wednesday and Thursday is fairly quiet for us because our midweek show is being put to Tuesday. We'll be back on Friday, but you never know. We could just pop up with something Wednesday or Thursday if anything comes up. Listen, another thing before Grizz falls asleep. Our Flick Sport app, right?
I've ordered my Uber, man. Hurry up.
Where are you going?
I've ordered Uber Eats.
Oh, what did you get? Tell us before I tell the lads what's going on.
No, just very standard today. Half chicken with peri peri rice, salad and garlic mayo.
Nice.
Is that
half chicken with what?
Very standard, I say.
Is that Indian, is it?
Peri peri? No.
I've got to explain this to Gav. Is this
What is
It's not West Indian. No, it's West Indian. Peri peri.
It's just it's peri peri. It's grilled chicken, Gav.
It's just Nando's, isn't it?
Minute.
For fuck's sake.
Yeah,
All right, Nando's. Yeah, Nando's.
Yeah.
Is that
Fireboard
Indian?
chilies
Gav asked,
and
is that Indian? Listeners, viewers.
I haven't a fucking clue. I don't
people
know.
in
I've
the
never had
chat,
an Indian.
Someone needs to educate Gav. The difference in foods.
Mate,
He calls everything
Taking
Indian.
for a Rogan, Josh. Taking for a
Oh,
Rogan,
I'm
Josh.
dying
I'm not
to.
going.
He hasn't had an Indian. He hasn't had an Indian.
Not going. Not the dodgy kips that
mate.
Grizz out
This
there.
is
I'll see you
mad.
in London, Chris.
Yeah.
Oh
See
yeah,
you
I'm
in
waiting,
London,
mate.
mate.
I'm waiting, mate.
Goes out.
Grizz's favourite Indian food is in Dublin, for fuck's sake. What was I going to say? Yeah, the Flick Sport app. So the Flick Sport app is very simple. Android and iPhone or Apple, whatever you want to call it. Go to Flick Sport app, download it. It allows you to enter a group and type in Trippers chats. You get into all the loads of Liverpool fans, including people that are on here. And listen, if there's anything you want us to talk about, you put it in there. We could pick something up tomorrow and go, that's good. Do you want to do that Thursday? Yeah, let's do that Thursday, because we do try to get on as many nights of the week. We've set ourselves 4 shows minimum per week. But if we come across anything like, the transfer stuff, we are on all the bleeding time. But if we come across something and go, that's really interesting, and me and Grizz can have a row about it, we'll most definitely make the effort to come on. So, get in there and Kieran Jervis's Gavs come dine with me. Could you imagine? My come dine with me would be like a bag of chips, right? A big, huge mound of chips on a plate in the middle of the thing, and just like a choice of red sauce, garlic sauce, and maybe a taco mayonnaise. And I'd be expecting between 8 and 10 out of 10 from my guests.
And ask your bollocks if they think they're getting a fork off you. Use your hands.
We could do a lovely big chat maybe on Thursday. Lovely big random chat. People love them. We'll see.
Over Uber Eats.
There was a few arguments today that I could bring up on a big random chat. But listen.
Oh, the whiskey. Get the whiskey.
Yeah. There won't be a show tomorrow, but if we can sort something, there's definitely one Friday. But if we can sort something else for Thursday, we'll try our best.
Can't have a show with an argument without Philip Casey on it. You have to get Phil on. The fella would argue the colour of shy. Today it was whiskey versus bourbon. Let's get a random show on. Nothing to do with Liverpool. Nothing to do with football. Just what the definition of whiskey versus bourbon. Starring Philip Casey. The man was on fire today.
Yeah, he's a complete psychopath.
For them.
Yeah.
But look, we'll do our best to get as much content as we can, and even if we can't get an extra show in, we'll still have at least 4 shows a week. So
yeah, absolutely.
Good stuff. And anyway, but look, lads, enough of this. Thanks for joining me tonight, Peter, all the way from sunny Spain. Thank you very much.
Legendary, boys. Great to see you all.
Good stuff. Grizz Can 142. Was it 142? 142. Not out. Are we a boulder?
No, I was out in the end. I ran out of puff, as you do.
You could have
fell over.
Not out.
Fell over at mid-wicket.
Whatever.
Got a stitch on about a harpoon. I'm out
slipped on a dodgy wicket.
Yeah. See the crease. There was too much
moisture on the crease.
See, guys, I could carry on with this conversation, but I sense you're doing it on purpose because my food's nearly on the way.
Fucking right, yeah.
So, I'm gonna slip out of this conversation.
We're gonna stay here. We're gonna stay at 1 o'clock in the morning watching you try to eat a half chicken.
Cold, bone, bleeding, stone cold. But we let Grizz eat. You can't leave a man like Grizz going hungry. Gav, thanks very much for joining us tonight. It's unusual for you to have to join us. You're usually the host, but pleasure having you on the other side of the seat.
It was great. I'm going off for a crisp sandwich. That's all right with Grizz.
Stefan's on that as well. He's on the Taito Sambos as well. So that's the field of kings at this hour. I might have one myself.
Yeah.
Listen, we've been the Daytrippers. This has been your midweek fix, and we'll see us all again on Friday.